You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Secrets with your team is you don't exactly just have a ton of interior linebacker depth. You know, there's some bodies there. Brock Goldwas is a freshman that has done really good. You've got Wesley Smith and some different guys, but we focus and I think it's fair to say, is Bryce Ramirez the same player that he was prior to his injury, or is he still kind of and all that? But Curry and Rodriguez and Roberts are fine. It's just so you know what I mean. So this is not it's not DEFCON, like we don't need to press the red button, but it's worth us discussing because it kind of causes some maneuvering with your depth chart and all those things, and you're fortunate enough to have some serious depth. And so, but that's what it takes. And Marcus Ramon Edwards is another name at Star. He was out. I think he's going to be out this next week too. And here's another little interesting bit of info. I'm not so certain that he wasn't going to be looked at as a potential running back option as well. So now what?
Was he an athlete out of high school, classified as an athlete, or was he
He was at Trinity High
back,
School. Right? He was at Trinity High School, the private school here in Lubbock, and they basically either snapped him the ball or handed it to him and said, "Just go, man." It was like the Dumb and Dumber when they're Lloyd and they're rolling into town on a little mini scooter, and he's got to let it go, and it's really cold, and he just says, "Just go, man, just go." And he said, "It's really warm." That kind of took a different path, but he just would run. My point, he would just run, and so he was a running back. I think he was an athlete. I think he's like 6'3", 230, and I think that you're trying to figure out, okay, can he help? Because he hasn't really settled in at anything, and he's been kind of dinged up, and he's still dinged up now. But that's another name that I think they're trying to figure out where he could kind of provide some depth or an answer to and all that. But his problem is like, where is that? Is it linebacker? Was it safety? Is it star? Are we going to do the running back thing? Like what is it? So, but that's another name I would mention to you.
Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app. So before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. Yeah, that's interesting to be on the lookout for, but I kind of feel like in general, whether at Star or elsewhere, defensively especially, Chris, I'm willing to take a flyer on some of these younger names that this coaching staff has brought on campus, because for the most part, I think we've seen some instances where they're factoring in, going back to last year, and some of those young guys that were having to play, considerable snaps. And I'm sure there were growing pains that were a part of that. Obviously, you can look at the numbers defensively and see big time growing pains, but there were some of those guys I liked what they were doing, individually. And, Chapman Lewis was one, unfortunately, that's off the radar right now, but there's another like Brendan Jordan, or some of these others. And, they're names that probably as fans, we have to kind of work to get to know as you go through it. So we'll do that early on, but let's see them, because some of the returns on, the youth and the roster additions outside of the transfer portal stuff, maybe flying under the radar, but I think they've been pretty positive so far.
I'm going to get real dramatic here. Okay, so just bear with me. But as we tap into some of this youth and this depth, and really this holds true for any of these old guys that just got here too. Like that, we know they're a starter, but it's their first time here and all that stuff. There's going to come a play in this Utah game. I heard if you've been paying attention to some of that stuff that Tech's been sending out internally. There was something sent out, I don't know, a week or so ago, and it was Rodney Allison, who's living over in Hawaii now, former great Texas Tech quarterback, and he was remembering a pass that he threw against either Texas or A&M back in like the early 70s, and it was intercepted, and Tech was really good. It was in that 76 and 73 time frame when Tech was really good, and they were contending for legit things and all those things. And he said, "But through this pass, it was intercepted. We lose the game." And he goes, "Of all the good things that I ever did, I never forgot that one. It was that one play. It just eats me up." And it's like, but there's going to come a play in this Utah game, for example, that's going to decide it or put it away or put you back in it. And the less experienced players that are out there, the better I'll feel about it, because you just don't know who that's going to fall on. Is that going to be on offense? Is it going to be on defense? Who's going to make the play or not make the play that's going to kind of trigger it? Because as we approach that one's going to be a massive, massive game that ultimately decides where you're going to go. And so I do think that I do want to see a lot of this youth out there. I just would really hope that you kind of have that solidified before you make that trip up to Salt Lake. So you've got 2 weeks to kind of sort through some of that, I guess it is.
Yeah, let's get cooking now. And there's a small dose of copium, no doubt, offered up with the thought of, let's see some of these young guys, because what else are we going to do? Kind of getting into a spot where you're in a corner with some few options in some spots, not like across the board or anything, but we're going to see some of them with some opportunity with this shuffle that now comes following some of that injury. I'd like to see the great Rodney Allison symbolically toss a ball into the Pacific Ocean. Let's get rid of that. You did so many great things. I don't think we have to stay stuck on that particular turnover, Rodney. Let's chuck one out there. Get us a video. We'll put it here on Locked On Texas Tech. Anywhere on the beach, let's just throw one out there like Gob Bluth in an envelope. Let's go ahead and exercise that memory. I think you've done enough to make up for that. All right, Chris, before we get out of here today, I do want to ask you about something that probably is, as we begin the week thinking about quarterbacks and linebackers and stars and 60-point margins and things like that. This is probably not quite on the radar of some Tech fans just yet, and hopefully you're going to be at the stadium, so it's not necessarily intended for those who will be joining us at the Jones. But if you are not, you're going to notice a different broadcast layer, I guess, coming up here this weekend. And I got to tell you, as the sicko I am interested in sports broadcasting and things like it, I'm interested in the TNT arrival in the Texas Tech sports universe. And that's mostly because, Chris, they've obviously put on top-tier sports productions before. This is not rolling the dice with like the CW or something, with all due respect. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what this is like when I have the opportunity, at least.
And we're talking as a couple of folks that really, I hope that you're in the stadium listening to my man Cowan. And if you're not there and you're driving around or you're able to watch TV, I would hope you're listening to the radio broadcast, which I'm a part of too. But the point I wanted to bring up, though, is that this is going to be a TNT telecast here. But the point I wanted to bring up about this is, this was one of these side deals where, like, what was it, ESPN or Fox, one of the two, like, they kind of offloaded some content or some games. And so TNT now has a Big 12 football game once a week going through. The point I wanted to bring up about it, that is, they are really trying to make a play here. I think that you're going to see a sky cam. There was a camera crew following around Coach McGuire at yesterday's press conference. I think they're here for the better part of the week. They've got a pregame show type thing going on, or something that they're going to do at halftime. I had their play-by-play guy, JB Long, call me last week and we spent about 30 minutes on the phone together. He's also, I think, the voice of the Rams for radio, but he's going to be the play-by-play guy here. And Mike Golick Jr. is the color guy, and then Ali LaForce is sidelines. But they just did the Arizona-Hawaii game. They're here this one, and then we'll see if they get assigned to Lubbock or Texas Tech in any rest of the way. But this is a bell and whistle broadcast here if you're into that kind of thing. Point is, I think TNT and like Turner could be a player in the Big 12 game for in years to come. File that away. I think that is very real, and I think that this is Brett Yormark was more than happy to set up a side deal and kind of offload some of these things because I think he's engaging more potential bidders for when you get the next bite at the apple in 3 to 4 years, which sounds like a long time away, but they start negotiating these things like in another year and a half or 2 years. So anyway, just kind of we'll kind of pay attention to that. But I think Turner would like to play ball here a little bit long term, like at a major level. So we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to be with the shifting sand, professional basketball wise, impacting Turner and all that went with that. It seemed like, at least based on what little surface level stuff I've seen, that they want to stay involved in that space. So I would love for it to be with the Big 12. It'll be other Big 12 broadcasts that you and I get to enjoy eventually, I guess. But just based on, and I haven't gotten to take one in so far this season. Has it only been the Arizona game? I guess they've done, but
yes,
I'm curious to see. And it certainly seems like, yeah, they're going to be in that space. So why not the Big 12 doing something a little bit different? And some of you may have an opportunity to take that in this time around, but I'll catch one at some point this season to see how it works out. And here is the biggest silver lining of it all: production value, bells, whistles, or otherwise. You can find it on your channel guide.
Yeah.
Get to a different app. Now, peacock, birds, other varieties, reptiles, no, just right there. It's got a number probably with the channel where it just says TNT. So that's an upgrade, and I'm kidding only sort of. I really think that's a serious upgrade for anybody, to be found. All right, Chris, thank you for the time as always, my man. Enjoyed it. We'll continue, of course, to stand by for anything changing or developing as far as the status of number 2 this week and the context of what is shaping up competitively, at least given Vegas's outlook on this to be a lopsided affair. Definitely adds a different layer. So we'll continue to discuss some of that. Would love to hear from you in the YouTube comments, how you feel about, just for lack of a better term, sort of playing with your food or possibly tempting fate if you were to toy with the status of a quote-unquote available or healthy quarterback. Let me hear from you in the YouTube comments. Shoot us a text if you're a Matador Mobster. Chris, appreciate you as always, man. See you for the next one.
Guns up, people. Keep hope alive, and until next time.
Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks as always for the time, and thanks to the everydayers for always riding along. And of course, the Matador Mob. Hit the show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial at your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.